What's good, everyone? Welcome to the Travel Hour podcast. Your co hosts, Joc and Matt, are two young black professionals who want to share their experiences and knowledge as it relates to all things travel in hopes of encouraging fellow young professionals to use their PTO and explore the world. In today's episode, Joc and Matt will be discussing how the Travel Hour came to be and what you can look forward to during season 1. So without further ado, welcome to the Travel Hour.
Welcome to the Travel Hour, Season 1, Episode 1. It's your boy Joc, and I have my co-host with me, Matt P.
What's going on, bro? We have finally made it here, right? It's been a couple of months in the making, probably a little longer than a couple of months, but we finally made it to Season 1, Episode 1, the Travel Hour. How you feel? How you feeling about it? How you feeling about it, bro?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited. It's truly like it's been a long road. It's been a long time coming, and I think the time is here. So at the end of the day, it all started with a conversation, right? And then the conversation led to an idea, led to a vision. But at the end of the day, here it is, rubber meets the road, right? And so we are recording the first episode of the Travel Hour.
Yes, sir. Yeah. The first episode, and we have yeah, it's gonna be a good season. It's gonna be a good season. First, before we go any further though, we want to wish all of our lovely ladies a happy Women's History Month. And we want to shout out to our black queens as well. Shout out to you all for paving the way, for doing all that you do for our community, for our world, and for our nation. We salute you all on today. So, Joc, yeah, let's tell the people. I guess give them some background information on how we know each other, where we from, all that good stuff. So I'm gonna let you first, I guess, introduce yourself. We already kind of did that, but a little more in depth, and then we can talk about how we kind of cross paths.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio, and so grew up in Ohio, was born and raised, and got an opportunity to play football. So I played ball in high school, and so like any kid, I was like, I had league dreams, and like, hey, this is the plan for me, and so ultimately, that's not how things worked out.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a chance to go to college. Ended up at Shaw University, a small HBCU in Raleigh, North Carolina, but so meaningful at the same time, right? And so Shaw University being the many at first, and especially being the first HBCU in the South, that was a different experience. And so being in North Carolina, being in Raleigh, North Carolina, got the chance to not only go to school at a historically black college, but to also play football and also join a fraternity, right? And just those different experiences open up, my eyes to so many different things. And so forever grateful for that opportunity, right? But at the same time, it's like that's also how we met. And so we are fraternity brothers, oh six to good brothers. But
Oh, six to good bros.
yeah, and I think that's interesting too because we ran in much different circles while we were on campus, right? But we did have fraternity that brought us together, and here we are. Fast forward, a few years later, and we still going strong, man. So definitely, it's dope to be here.
Definitely. Yeah. So, like Jock, I am originally was born and raised until the age of 13, Akron, Ohio, which is very funny to me. It's like real ironic, right? How we literally grew up maybe 45 minutes away from each other, but did not meet one another until we got to college. But after leaving Ohio, I moved down to the South, and this was why you hear a Southern draw. Moved down to the South, and South Carolina became home, and then went to Shaw University, where I met my line brother, Jock. There's 8 of us on the line. First of all, we are part of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Uh, uh, yeah, 8 of us on the line. Jock is the tail. I'm the quad. And so yeah, 8 years later, here we are, like you said. And we wanted to bring our experiences with travel, um, both domestically and internationally, to you all. So I'm gonna let Jock tell us like what's the purpose of the travel hour? Excuse me, the THWE travel hour.
Yeah, that's at the end of the day, we're not looking at this as a podcast, right? We're more so looking at it as a piece of the Black travel movement. And so, whatever you got to do to find your tribe, figure out what your vibe is, figure out where you fit into this travel world, right? And being able to do that, as a person of color, as a Black person, we're going to empower each other, right? So, no matter where you are in your travel journey, we hope that you can take something away from this podcast. That we encourage you to use that PTO that you've built up to really get out there and explore this big old world that's out there waiting. And through that, hopefully you come back and share those experiences with us, so we can really just tap in, and really just build, saying something that's much greater than ourselves. So that's what I'm hoping to really see this thing develop into. I know you got your perspective and your take on it. To talk to me how you feel about it. Where do you see this thing going?
Man, first of all, I'm just excited to be on the team, right? The travel hour, like you said, it's a movement. It's not just something that we're doing just for the sake of doing it, but it's definitely a movement. We want to come together, highlight our experiences as Black young professionals who have been afforded the opportunity to travel, who travel quite often, but also using that and encouraging. Those who may feel like travel is unobtainable, encouraging them that it's obtainable. Also to let them know that there is a place for Black people in travel. Right, we want to amplify the voices of Black people who are traveling, who are doing great and big things out in the world when it comes to travel. And also highlight, that Black men do travel. I know oftentimes we have to stay back and work and that this, that, and the third, but there are some of us who are out here who are taking that time off of work, right? Taking the time away from work and planning trips and going out and experiencing the world and all that it has to offer. So we also want to encourage other Black men to, go explore the world. The world is big, but the world is also small, and it's easy for us to get to one place to another. It's just a simple plane ride away. And I often tell people like the world is just waiting on you. It's plain and simple. The world is waiting on you. So go out there and see the world. Because they can miss you a day. They can miss you a couple of days or a week from work. The whole institution, the whole organization will not collapse. So take that time off and go see the world. So that's kind of where I am as it relates to the travel hour and what I'm excited about, and just learning, like you said, learning from those who knows. Some of our listeners might be some of our future guests. We never know, right? Just gaining from their experiences. We don't claim to be subject experts. We just have been. We're just sharing what we know from our lived experiences, and so we want to take that and run with it. And who knows what's to come of it, right? We just buckling up our seatbelts and going along for the ride.
Definitely. I think you bring up a great point. Like, sometimes we don't really uh, do a great job of, playing up the resources that we do have or network that we are tapped into, right? Um, and I know I've been a victim of that, right? Because it's like, oh, this is expected of me, or I have to do this, or it's like, well, this is the norm for me now, so this is what I have immediate reach to. And so it's like it's different. But a lot of times I find myself like looking back and like, no, that was pretty dope what you just did, right? And you need to like realize that, live in it, like as we do all the time. I always want to downplay it, like, oh, hey dog, I seen you out there, in this country, right? And it's like, oh man, I just went over there for a couple of days, man,
Yeah.
but really just like owning that, right? Saying like, hey, like this is what this experience was. I appreciate you, for even acknowledging that, right? And really like owning and living in that truth. And so I think that's super important. And that also goes back to like what is, what I'm saying? Like I think Nipsey Hussle, he had a quote and he talked about, find your purpose or you wasting air, right? And so with anything that you do, I try to move with intentionality and purpose, right? When we talk about purpose, like what has like inspired you to start traveling, right? When you think about like young Matt and to see your matriculation and growth in traveling, like what initially sparks you and what kept you going?
I think for me, the idea of going somewhere has always been exciting, right? I was the child, like when it was time, like say we went somewhere or to a friend's house or to a gathering of my mother's friends or something like that. I was a child who would cry when it was time to go home. Like I don't want to go home, you know. I think that from there, the idea of going somewhere has always been something that's been prevalent in my life, right? I jokingly say that. Also, shout out to my mom. I love her to death. But we kind of moved every. It seemed like every 2 years. Probably wasn't every 2 years, but we moved to another side of the city. And so that element of not being able to stay still. That's something that I can't stay still to save my life. But I think those were some early elements in developing my like and my love for travel. Fast forward to uh, I guess my teenage years, being involved with church and going to the different church conferences which would be in different states and stuff like that. And then when I got to college, I think that's where I really caught the travel bug because that was my first time going out of the country. I did an internship. Shout out to Shaw. I did an internship, Shaw and Jamaica Line Project, which was 6 weeks. We spent in Jamaica doing prostate cancer research. So I did that 2 summers in a row. So I spent my 22nd and my 23rd birthday in Jamaica on internship. And I think from there it just kind of evolved, right? It was always like, how can I have those experiences again? How can I be steeped in the culture of wherever I'm going? How can I, if you say let's, I'm already ready before you say go. So I think those things have played a part in me arriving to where I am now and has given me a greater appreciation for travel, has given me a greater sense of cultural competency, has given me a better global view. So yeah, I think that's what piqued my interest in traveling. Because now I'm trying to go. Look, if I could travel every day of the week, and come home every so often to see my parents and see my friends. Listen, I
So I'll be
would
all right.
never be in California.
I feel you.
What about you
I
though?
feel you.
What lit that? What was your inspiration, I should say, for travel? Like what inspired you to travel and want to travel?
Yeah, it started young as well. I can remember growing up. My grandmother, my grandmother raised us when we were kids, and so she was a single parent, and my grandmother, we was always going somewhere. Like we went to church 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week, right? And don't let a revival be going on or something like this, or vacation
This is
Bible
what
school in a year.
this is the what the church or what?
My God in Christ,
You
and
can't just join in.
they they gonna go to church. They gonna go to church, man. And
Mm-mm.
we were road warriors, like up and down the road. Um, and I saw a lot of stuff just traveling up and down the highways and byways, as they say, right? Uh, we saw different stuff. People getting into accidents. My grandmother, we pull over to help folks. I remember one time we was driving too, and it's like sometimes like we would see like somebody who was houseless, and every
Mm.
now and then my grandmother will always turn around and say, "Yeah, like when you have an opportunity to help somebody, and the Lord leads you to do that, make sure you do it." And so I can remember just us traveling, but also was almost like doing the work. And so that always intrigued me, just meeting new people, from different walks of life, never knowing who you're going to meet, right? And so that's always been something that kind of like I've been intrigued about. And then I guess we kind of graduated to the point where every year my grandmother would plan a big trip for all of us, my siblings, and then my cousins would come along as well. And no, we didn't have a lot of money, but she made it work. And so, we was going different places. Maybe we were going to Dallas, Texas, and we got to catch a train from Cleveland all the way down to Dallas. And we, what I'm saying, like we packing stuff, and grandma that made them sandwiches, and we gonna stretch it, make it work,
Listen,
do what we got to do. But
run.
it's just
Ain't
if you
nothing like. Cause ain't
no, go
nothing
ahead.
like no travel food, no travel them packed lunches that you took on road trips. Ain't nothing like it.
Man, look, they're gonna load that cooler up, man. You're gonna have some cold cuts. They're gonna do the whole nine. And so, those are the things that you learn though, to save a penny here and there, it adds up, right? And so
Mhm.
just understanding like, hey, like, yes, we may not have the most money, but we made a way to make it work.
Right.
And I always took that with me. They'd be like, how you travel so much? So fast forward and being in college, I was always going home with my friends, or a holiday come up, like, I'm going with y'all, where you stay? And so I did a lot of stuff like that. And then honestly, I got the chance to, I took my first flight during college, and I think that's what really changed things for me. Being in Raleigh, North Carolina, and flying back to Ohio, it was like, okay, I can do this. And
Yeah.
like, I'm used to this now. I can do it on my own. Like, okay, where to next, right? And so once the funds started to come a little bit more, broke college students, you got
Hello.
to
Let's
refunds
talk
and
about
stuff
it.
like that. So we'll take that little refund money and put it towards a little trip and stuff. And it kind of just grew
Mhm.
from there though, man. But always just been hungry about what's next and what's out there.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know about you, but for me, I feel like most people don't like going to the airport or the hustle and bustle. But I feel like for me, like going to the airport and finally being on that plane, I feel like the plane is my happy place. Like I don't know how to really describe it, but I know like as once I like get to the airport, like it's vacation time. Like you know, I can detach from work. I can detach from all the other duties that I have, and it's just like it's like a big sigh and a weight kind of I guess lifted off your shoulders in a sense because you don't have to be on. And so I tell people all the time, the water and the airplane are my happy places.
I feel you on that one. It's definitely a different experience. Um, and I get excited. Like, it's just like, it's one of those feelings you get like, yeah, we're going on a trip, right? And so I like that. I think it's been different as of late. Traveling it's been very different, right? Understanding the pandemic and things that have been going on. I will say this, like my anxiety be through the roof sometimes now because flying is just totally different now.
Yeah,
Uh, and so I've even had to like program myself to learn how to travel within the pandemic, right? Like, hey, like find you a comfortable mask because it's gonna be on your face the whole time, right? Making sure that I allow myself extra time to get to the airport because of the forms. And then also just making sure that I give myself enough time because I understand that now that I'm getting a little older, that when I rush, things don't go well for me, right?
yeah,
And so it's like, hey, building that extra time so you get there. I'd rather chill the gate for an extra 20 minutes than be in a rush and trying to, you know, be in a
first of
bad
all,
situation.
because
So yeah,
who gonna be running through who gonna be running through the airport? Not me. Listen,
not I.
you ain't gonna have me out there needing oxygen by the time I get to the gate because I had to run because I was nah. So yeah, note to those listening: make sure you carving some time, some extra time, you know, at the airport, so you don't have to be there rushed and flustered and stressed out.
Definitely, definitely. Because it's just the world is different. At the end of the day, like we going through this pandemic, um, and it's starting to look like that we're on the back half of it, as things are starting to move towards, not just dealing with it, but living with it. So things look a lot different. And I think like it's gonna be interesting, like if we're blessed to live 50, 60 plus years down the line, like we're gonna have a lot to tell our grandkids around the fireplace, right? We're
Right.
talking about as a millennial, like we've seen so much. Like we're in the middle of a war. There's a war going on in Europe right now. Um, there's a pandemic still raging on, right? Um, and then on top of that, as Black people, we deal with racism, whether it be overt or covert, and we still navigate through this world. And so it's a
Hmm.
lot. But at the same time, it's like one of the reasons why I do love to travel is because, like you said earlier, like that's one of my happy places, and I can kind of escape some of the stuff that's going on through traveling. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that what you're saying that one day we're going to do an episode on escapism. That's the word. That's the proper term as it relates to travel. Some people we have to ask: are you really traveling because you want to travel, or are you traveling because you're trying to escape from something? So I think that's something that we can unpack later on in the season. So stay tuned for that. Yeah. So speaking of travel, what are some places? Where are some places that you have traveled to?
Yeah. So I've been able to move around a little bit. And I would say like I would, I wish I would have gone even more places, right? Knowing what I know now. But still have been blessed to touch several continents. Been to several states as well. And then also, to go to different countries has been a dope experience. I definitely will highlight some of the cool places I've been, whether I've been like to Cuba, looking at I went to Tanzania, Zanzibar, had a chance to travel to Canada, love going to Canada, Toronto. Actually went skiing for the first time up there, and it was a dope experience, right? Shout out to MLK Black Ski Weekend, but just
Yeah,
even like
shout
black
out to
folks
you.
out there doing some stuff they say we don't do, right? And you got hundreds of black folks, if not thousands of black folks out there skiing up in Canada. So those are a few places I've been. There's just more that we'll definitely talk about. But yeah. Mhm. What about you?
Definitely. Yeah. So like I wish I would have traveled a little more. Even throughout the pandemic. Um, People try to say that I'm always gone, and I tell them I feel like I still don't travel enough, right? But as aforementioned, I've been to Jamaica, Mexico, Canada as well, Israel, China. So those are a few of the places in Egypt, a few of the places that I've gone. Definitely not done traveling anytime soon. I've also been very fortunate to visit a lot of the places here in the United States. I was trying to do all 50 states before I turned 30, and then COVID happened. I turned 30 in 2020, and so that kind of shut everything down. And so I still got 22 more states to go, and so we're gonna be trying to knock those out this year, next year. So that's one of the goals, and I think that's a good way to also highlight, like traveling does not always mean traveling internationally, right? I know a lot of people when they think about travel, they think that, oh well, that means I have to go out the country, but there's so much to do here in the United States, right? There's so much to do. Joc just got back from Louisiana attending Mardi Gras. There's so much to do here in the US, right? It's your backyard. Go explore it. But I want to hear a little bit more about Mardi Gras. How was that? How was that experience, bro?
Oh man, say it, baby. Every
No,
time you go down,
no, baby.
hey, Nola. You know who the tourists are. You know who's from there, because don't nobody down there say New Orleans. They're gonna look at you like you crazy.
Right.
So it's Nola or New Orleans. And they they definitely know how to have a good time. You definitely gonna eat good. Um, Mardi
Did you get
Gras
out there
is
and do
so
the
dope.
second? Did you get out there and do the second line dance and all this stuff
I
in the
I
street?
have not graduated yet to second line. I'm not there yet. But we gonna see. Maybe next year they might catch me on the
Next year?
second line. You feel
Next
me?
year, I might have to meet you down there because I was planning to go this year, but life just wouldn't allow me to with work and things like that. It was actually a group of us here from California that were planning to go, but things happened, so I wasn't able to go.
Understood.
But
And that
next
and that's
year,
one of those things. No, go ahead, man.
And I was just saying, next year I'm in there. Listen,
Yeah, it's and that was more so of an impromptu trip, where it was kind of like, hey, like by the way, outside is opening back up, and it looks like the city's gonna be doing Mardi Gras this year. They did make some changes to it, so it looked a lot different than it has in years past.
mm-hmm.
But just to see everybody out there, man, going to the different parades, like shout out to Zulu. And so even I was learning things, right? Like, the background of Mardi Gras and what does Zulu mean, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how they had to create these social clubs because, back in the day, like black folks weren't allowed to attend the major parades of Mardi Gras. And so Zulu created their own social club, not only just to have a parade, but to also like help their community and black folks. And so they were doing a lot of different things in the community to raise funds and money. They've helped build up the city. And so, Zulu is now one of the biggest parades into all of Mardi Gras. And it's funny because um, a lot of the parades that would not give them a chance now kind of follow behind Zulu and what Zulu is doing, right? So it's just, every time we get a chance to get into the arena, we're going to add a little seasoning to it.
A little
And so that
season, a
was
little
just super dope.
loudness,
That's it,
a little
maybe a little
slappy
Tony
bones,
Statues there.
you know.
That's it. So yeah, Mardi Gras was dope, man. I enjoy, and I got a coconut. I got the coconut from the Zulu parade, so they're very
Dope.
coveted. It's hard to get one, and so I definitely was able to get one. So yeah.
That's what's up. Dope, dope.
Hmm.
We love to hear it. We love to hear it. What you got planned for this year? What travel you got lined up? You know, for 2022.
2022 is going to be a busy year. Um, I think traveling last year and the year before last in the pandemic was different because like outside really wasn't open, and so it was only a
Mm-hmm.
couple of places that people were going to. But I can remember like it wasn't hard finding a hotel, it wasn't hard booking a flight. The flights weren't full. It was super easy to get in and out, in that aspect. But this year, it's really like the year that everybody's like, hey, like we going back outside after a couple of years. But I got some things lined up.
They
Definitely gonna
ain't
be
going.
heading
They
out to.
running back outside.
Well, you telling? Look at these prices, man.
Listen,
Flight prices. Yeah, the jet fuel is getting up, and I'm pretty sure that the war is gonna have something to do with that as well.
for sure.
So when we talk about planning in the future, make sure that you try to purchase your flights in advance, especially if you find a good deal on them. I will say, like the majority of my trips are coming up, my flights are purchased. But we headed out to Greece. So we'll be going to Greece this year, but we'll stop in Amsterdam first for a couple of days. So that's going to be a trip. I think that's the highlight of the year for me. And then I've got a trip to Colombia, going down to Cartagena and Medellin for a little bit to hang out. And then I'll also be in Tulum in September for a wedding for one of our line brothers. So that's going to be dope. Shout out to Troy. So looking forward to that in September. So those are a couple of trips I got planned for this upcoming year.
That's what's up. Dope, dope. We definitely. So I'm fortunate enough to be tagging along on this Greece and Amsterdam trip. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely also be in Tulum to celebrate the nuptials of our line brother and his bride to be. Um, I think for me too, we got Vegas in June, so that should be a vibe. And I also have to go back to Vegas in April because my dad, not April, in August, because my dad is taking his wife out there for her birthday. And with me being so close, it's only right for me to go and show my face. And I think some of my siblings are going, so that should be cool. And then I think I want to try to squeeze in Madrid. So I think that's um, where I'm at right now. But I also was thinking about maybe doing like Hawaii or something for my birthday, but I'm not really completely sure because I got a high school reunion this year, so it falls around that same time. So I actually might be flying back to South Carolina this summer and trying to be a high school all over again.
Okay. Yeah, that ain't a bad deal. You got the itinerary packed out for the year.
Yeah,
So it's not like gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to make sure I watch your IG story.
definitely. I try to keep that updated. And one thing I want to work on this year, and I think it'll also be a good asset to the podcast is like highlighting like when we go different places, build like a Google calendar that we can share. We can put in the description of like the podcast, so you all can have something to reference, right? You might not do everything that we've done, but you can use it and uh, plan accordingly. So I think that's also be a dope resource that we can provide for all of our viewers and all of our listeners this season.
Yeah, that's super like helpful. I've actually been in that situation before, going someplace and then you end up talking to somebody that's been there before and they're like, yeah, I got the itinerary. Like, can you share it with me? They're like, yeah, I got you. I'm like, cool. Because you don't know how much time and energy that does save you. And then also like, that it adds that extra layer of security for you knowing that somebody put their stamp on it, right? So I
Hmm.
always think that's huge, man. But definitely like we definitely got to, what I'm saying, get this knowledge to the people because 2022 is definitely the year of being outside. So we're gonna be
Yeah,
outside.
and we're gonna be outside as much as we can, right? And
Mhm.
so yeah, man, like I'm excited. I'm excited. What's going on in the world, Jock? Though, give us what's going on in the world right now. There's so much going on in the world,
Ooh,
but what's going on?
Jesus. It's a whole lot. So I
A
was actually
whole lot of.
on a car the other day, and I'm actually talking to folks. I got a friend who ended up canceling their trip. You're supposed to be in London next week. But because of everything that's going on with the war, they decided to go ahead and cancel the trip. And
Hmm.
everybody's comfort level is different. I understand London is a lot more, Western Europe versus what's going on is more so Eastern Europe, and so definitely on two opposite ends. But at the same time, too, it's like, hey, like that person had a great point. It's like, look, I got a kid at home, and I'm not taking any chances. So we'll go when it's a better time. And so even brought light to me is like, yeah, like we'll be flying into Europe, into Central Europe and Amsterdam, and so then making our way down to Greece from Amsterdam, and so just having to be mindful of what's going on.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, Russia's invaded Ukraine, their neighboring station, I mean, their neighboring country, and so it's just a lot going on because the Ukrainians and the Russians have so much history together, right? A
Right.
lot of those folks are related across the borders, and here we are, like cities are being bombed, right? And so hopefully,
It's
at the end of the day,
crazy.
like I just can't even imagine, like just waking up and like a whole apartment building being blown up, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so I do hope that they can come to some type of agreement. I do hope that for the people of Ukraine,
Yeah.
uh, and I hope that like because of the economic piece of it too, right? Uh, Russia is one of the biggest exporters of fuel, and
Yep.
so with them,
And we don't want to be paying $7 here in LA for gas. So they need to go ahead and squash whatever issues they got going on, because I can tell you who'll be sitting at home if gas start to be $7. It's gonna be Matthew. So
yeah, it's
yeah, I
already high.
definitely understand. I can
It's
only
already
imagine
high.
what it's like in Miami.
Yeah, and my car takes 93, so it's a whole different story when we go to the pump. But the funny thing about it though, usually like when gas prices go up, the premium fuel like either stays the same or might go down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll
Because the
we'll see.
demand is
I
not
hope
as
that
high.
yeah. And I'm really watching this like, and this is something for y'all to keep in mind. This is going to affect the jet fuel prices, right?
Mm-hmm.
So definitely flights are already heading into summer, which is busy season, peak season. Jet fuel prices are probably going to be on the rise, and so you want to make sure that you go ahead and lock in those flights. Don't try to wait the last minute. Other thing too behind is when we're traveling, always keep in mind to try to travel outside of peak season of these places. Like Memorial
Definitely.
Day and 4th of July. But yeah, that's what's going on in the world. So folks is out here in wars in the midst of a pandemic. And then my heart does go out to our black refugees over there
Yeah,
in Ukraine
definitely.
trying
Definitely.
to get out and being denied. So that
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
is crazy, bro.
It goes to show us that, like, as much as they try to say that this is like there is no element of racism in this, but if you clearly look at what they're doing to our black brothers and sisters, not allowing them to leave, it boils down to skin color, right? And it's just unfortunate that, even in 2022, I know we always say we still are dealing with these issues. And so definitely prayers up for them. Um, and yeah, like hopefully they'll come to some type of resolve soon, because we don't want nothing to pop off with the United States, because I just feel, because Alaska is only maybe like 2 miles away from Russia by sea, that the West Coast is going to be the first hit if something were to happen. So I need them to go ahead and handle that. Speaking of that, did you get a chance to watch the State of the Union yesterday?
I did not. I was out enjoying myself, but I did catch up and read some of the articles that were posted. And so, why did they do the State of the Union so late this year?
That's what what I was thinking about that. I was like, it's really like I've never heard of the State of the Union being in March. It had me thinking, like, did I miss the first one? Right? Did I miss? Is this like a special one because of what's going on in the world? But no, it was the one, because they normally do what, like January ish, like
Yeah, it's usually
early
like around
February, something like
MLK.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
so I'm like, yo, it's real late. I didn't get to watch it either, but um, yeah, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it on YouTube. I think yesterday, I just couldn't. I Yeah, I just didn't have it in me to watch it at that time. But I definitely want to pay attention to that, and hopefully, our president is dropping some good information. So we need, but Uncle Joe, President Biden, your people down here, we need another stimmy. Give us another stimmy. Just one more. I made it out of COVID stimmy or something. We Something for pain and suffering. Look, y'all done opened us up, shut us back down. Oh, we need one more stimulus check. One more. And then we'll be all right. Make it a good one though.
Yeah, we gonna see. It's truly a lot going on in the world. Like you literally just had uh, the president deliver the State of the Union address to the country, and
Mm-hmm.
basically he's just giving an update on where we're at in the country over as far as going for the year, right?
Yeah.
Um, and we've had some highs and we've had some lows, y'all. And even as we elect political leaders, whoever you choose to vote for, as you exercise your right to vote, you are always allowed to be critical of the people that you put in office.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always allowed to be critical of the folks that you may not have voted for that are in office, because in the, end of the day, it's supposed to represent you and the people, right?
Right.
And so we've got to hold our leaders accountable through the good and the bad. And so definitely do that. Even it's funny though, I'm looking at the governor of Florida, who never ceases to amaze us, right? Governor Ron DeSantis was on the news because he goes to a press conference and he's getting ready to speak and it's some high school students. So not only are they like children, but they're standing behind him and as he's on the podium, and he like goes in on the kids like, "Hey, take those masks off. Like you guys think this is just like like the COVID theatrics?" And it's like, bro, like it's a whole pandemic going on, and
Right. We ain't
and
made it
I'm like,
out
bro,
just yet. Like, I mean, COVID ain't going nowhere. I know here in California they are like, we're releasing, like Gavin Newsom is releasing an endemic plan, right? Because COVID is going to essentially be like the flu, right? Where they had to make it an endemic. It's something that's going to always be here. Um, but yeah, I mean, if we still look, I still keep my mask on. I'm yeah. At work, we gotta keep our mask on. Um, and so I'm one of those persons, like, I would love to take my mask off. But you also got to use good judgment, right? Like there might be some places and sometimes where you feel you might be a little okay if you take your mask off. But then there's some places I go to, nah. Like when I go over to Orange County, I know they ain't been following no rules, because that's a red county. I'm putting on my mask. I don't double mask, but I'll double mask when I go to Orange County and be about to suffocate, because I'm not trying to catch COVID.
no, that's so real. So it's it's a lot going on in the world. It's a lot to digest. And so we realized that too as well. And so, sometimes you need a break, take a trip.
Take
Get
a
away for
trip.
the weekend. Whether it be like, look, I don't have a lot of money. Go up the street and just go stay somewhere outside of your house. Or
Hmm.
take a day trip and drive somewhere and just go look at the water or go on a hike. But definitely make sure y'all do what y'all do, to make sure y'all can deal with the things that come with living in this world that we know, right?
Definitely, for sure. Yeah. Speaking of travel, I know this is a couple of weeks old, but there was a article that was going around talking about there was the flight was mid. They were mid flight. Group of people flying, the airline flying mid flight, and out of all of a sudden there was a passenger trying to open the door to the aircraft while they are in the air. Um, and the flight attendant had to take a coffee pot to his head, I guess, to get him to uh, chill out. Like my thing, like that, like, bro, what are you doing? First off, what are you doing? Like, what possesses a person to say, "Oh, I'm gonna get up and try"? First of all, you get the door open. Where are you going? Where are you going? Like, no, like, so it was just weird. I don't. I feel. I try to put myself in that scenario. Like, what would I probably would have been right there with the flight attendant, taking the coffee pot up against old dude head. Like, bro, you need to chill out. I say
Yeah,
we've been sitting in the house too long for people to be acting up. I know
mm-mm.
they was acting up on them flights for a little. It was like a little stint that they like people was acting up, fighting on the plane, all this and all. Don't want to wear your mask, all that stuff. Don't be messing it up for us who really do want to go somewhere. Like you knew that there's rules before you got on that plane. Follow the rules so we all can have a good flight.
Follow the rules. But I think that goes back to at the end of the day, like um, this country's been built off of individualism.
Yeah.
And so it's all about if it's not for me, then what is it, right? And of
Hmm.
course, I think it even is more implicit amongst, saying other folks at the end of the day, bro. And so
Yeah.
like when you see it, it's like I remember like being in, Egypt or being in Colombia during the pandemic, and it was like, wow, like people are on the streets outside, they've got their mask on, they're worried about their neighbor, they're trying to do what they can to help each other out. And I think like, a lot of times we just only worried about us and our discomfort. And so it's just like, hey, come on now. So we gotta do our part.
I think that's one thing that the pandemic has shown us, right? Um, we are very glad of the freedoms and the liberties that we have, being
Hmm.
the land of the free and the home of the brave. But at the same time, I think it showed like because of those things that we claim, people don't care about each other. Like if it ain't benefiting them, it's all about my rights, how I feel. It's not about taking care. Like you said, you go to other countries, they're worried about the person that's next to them. They're worried about their neighbors, right? Their well being. But yeah, I think that the pandemic lifted the veil. That's so churchy, but lifted the veil off of a lot of our eyes to see, like,
Veil
the
gone.
pros and the cons of being the land of the free.
Definitely. Definitely. So what you got for the people, my good brother?
Listen, before we hop off of here, each week we're gonna give y'all a wandering tip of the week, right? And this wandering tip of the week is very simple. I had a very interesting experience with trying to renew my passport, right? Yeah, I might have waited a little too late. Well, not too late, but I should have done it probably before 22 2022 hit. But because I procrastinated a little bit and I got a flight lined up for April, I had to pay a little extra money, right? I already got what you got to pay the government, right? The processing fees. And for that, I included the option to expedite, but then I had to go through another party, rush my passport. Um, to ensure that I would get my passport back before we leave. I had to spend an additional amount of money. And so today's wandering tip is don't procrastinate when it's time to renew your passport. Most countries they require that your passport be good and valid 6 months out from the day you get to their country to visit. So if you know your passport is getting ready to expire within the next year, 6 months to a year, you need to go ahead and do that process to get your passport taken care of. I am aware that the passport fee has gone up for the book, has gone up an additional $20, but it's
$20.
still under, yeah, but it's still under $200. So, um, yeah, but if you listen to me, you don't have a passport at all. Look, we encourage you, we implore you to submit that application to get your passport, right? Like that's the first step, because the world is literally waiting on you, but you need that book so you can have access to these different places. So that's our wandering tip for the week. Uh, don't be like me. Don't procrastinate. Do things in a timely manner. It will save you time and it will save you a couple of dollars. And so now we just crossing our fingers that everything works out and that passport get back, which I don't really doubt. I don't have a doubt about that. That it'll be back before it's time for me to uh, board the plane come April 3rd.
Well, keep us posted on the passport,
I
and
definitely
I'm
will.
glad you shared that inflation has affected these passports as well. So
Mm,
I got a plan for that. I got to save my coins up.
right. But yeah, so stay tuned. Stay tuned to see if Matt can
Definitely
get you
stay
the
tuned
passport.
and stay tuned. Stay locked in. If people are looking and are new to the Travel Out podcast, where can they find us?
Yo, you can find us on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram at the THEE Travel Hour. That's our Instagram. You can find us on YouTube at the same name, the THEE space Travel space Hour. Um, yeah, that's how you can find us. You can follow us individually. My Instagram is according to TO, not the number, MP. You can find me that way. You can follow me on YouTube at Matt P. Um, yeah, that's like how can they find you, Joc?
Yeah, definitely tap in with me on Instagram. I'm out there, the underscore Zigster, and that is THE1E underscore ZIGGSTER. So follow your boy. We're going to try to drop some dimes, definitely feed the streets. And so definitely stay posted because we got some stuff on the way. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Definitely looking forward to it. It's gonna be a great season, and y'all gotta stay tuned to see what's to come. But
Yes, sir.
until next time, look, keep your head up, get that passport if you don't got it, and stay tuned.